Hello, it's Sarah here. How are you? Happy Monday. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Um, let's see. Oh, here we go. We're live. So I shared with you a little example and the personal experience from just earlier today with my little one, my 7-year-old, who is a creative person. Her imagination has no limits. But today, for some reason, when we were homeschooling, when we were doing a little project that was supposed to be a quick, easy, fun project, she found herself in this overwhelm, crying, totally paralyzed in fear. And as we were working through the process, breaking things down and really unpacking everything, what was happening, um, it really got me thinking, there's so many parallels in what she was experiencing with what so many entrepreneurs, business owners, leaders, and team members are experiencing on every given day, that I really wanted to come on live here and really share a couple of steps that I've been using to break things down, not just with her, but also with my own clients. And I have been using those steps on myself too. Before we dive into it, I want to make sure that you understand that working with somebody personally is going to be a little bit different dynamic because, talking theoretically and under a blanket statement obviously is a little bit different than really personalized approach on a specific issue. But I will share example of my own daughter, of how we solved this, how we help her move past this paralysis. And then I'm also going to share with you an example of a client who came to me also totally paralyzed and overwhelmed in their own scenario and under the responsibilities that they were carrying towards their team, towards their business partner, towards themselves, towards their families, and towards their clients. So there's going to be some parallels, and I hope it serves you well. So, as I mentioned, my daughter found herself in this overwhelm, and as an empathetic child that she is, and as a child who really analyzes things, I understand how she operates, and I understand where does she need me to meet her. And I also understand that my typical reaction, like, cracking the whip, might work with somebody, but it doesn't work with her. So this is the first parallel when you're a leader, and also for understanding yourself. Have to know what makes you tick, and you have to understand what makes your team tick, how they operate, how they communicate, how they respond, what do they need. Which means that it's important to invest time and efforts to really not only build a team that is compatible, but also develop them and understand them, so that you can be the facilitator, you can be the guide, or you can bring somebody in to help them. Step number one. Step number two with my daughter was that we really, with the issue, in particular issue, was simple, seemingly super simple. Just draw the flower, right? Circle and then a few petals and you're done. For her, it was so overwhelming that she did not know where to even start. She found herself obsessing with questions like how many petals, what kind of shape, what kind of colors, to the point of saying, I can't even draw a straight line like for a stem. And all of those were totally obsolete issues that she simply manufactured in the state of fear. And everything was just amplified. So what we did was to really, what I helped her with was to see the big picture, chunk it up from all of those details that didn't matter how many petals, it didn't matter what colors, it didn't even matter it was the flower. We really focused on what was the big picture, what was the objective of that particular project. And then when she was able to articulate it for herself, when she was able to see it, then we were able to break it down and really make it super simple. Step number one, step number two, step number three. That's all she needed. And parallel number two is when you work with either yourself or your own team. You also understand, sometimes things, we get so caught up in the details that we need to be elevated and we need to be able to see the big picture. On the contrary, there are moments when we are so focused on this big picture that we're paralyzed by its magnitude, that what we need, or what our team needs, or our clients in many ways, is to help things to be broken down. So as I mentioned, this client that we were talking, they felt super overwhelmed because the business they had built ultimately turned into a hamster wheel to nowhere. They had huge responsibilities towards their team. They had huge responsibilities and obligations towards their clients, but they themselves found themselves in a situation when all they did was putting out fires left and right, just putting out the fires, did not even have the time to really back up and see the big picture. So what was really important in those conversations with this particular client was to help them, again, just like with my daughter, elevate from the details and see what is the big picture, what is that we're creating here, what is the long vision. And then when we had that, we were able to see gaps and leaks and bottlenecks and misalignments in what they were currently doing, which allowed them to see where was the room for improvement. And in their particular situation, they built a business that was not fulfilling, that was barely profitable, that was way overwhelming. And it was just a part of what their overall vision was for themselves. So breaking it down, and in their situation, it was really helpful to compartmentalize things. We were able to create compartments, right? Going back and reverse engineering things and creating, okay, this is first compartment, these are the steps here. This is the second compartment, these are priorities here. This is the third one, this is how we're going to address that. And while we were creating that, they were able to see that they had so much wiggling room in certain areas that they were leaving untapped that it was really holding them back. And adjusting the business model, adjusting the pricing, that was one of the simplest things and the most immediate things that we were able to point out immediately. And that would really create more space and elevate the service that they were able to provide, and giving them more peace of mind in the long run. So something super simple, like we said, either chunking it up or breaking it down, or elevating from the details so that you're not just looking at the tree, but you can see the big forest, and then reverse engineering. Okay. So the third step in how my daughter and I were able to then take this newfound strategy that she co-created and felt really good about and super clear, and apply it now with a completely different mindset. This is possibly the most important part in any way in all the steps right now that I'm sharing with you. And it's something that doesn't happen at the end, just at the end, but it's something that really is an underlying theme, so to speak, throughout this whole process, when you're working on yourself, when you're working on your team, when you're working with your clients also. So to use my daughter as an example, this particular situation this morning, after we had the steps broken down, we were now able to prioritize them. And we were able to address them from a standpoint that she understood, and she felt excited, and she was able to remember that, hey, she has done it before. It's nothing scary. It can be super simple and it can be fun. And as opposed to just using regular pencil, she opted to use colors. That, for a 7-year-old, that was a huge step, right? So the parallel that we're using here, we're talking about our own and our teams and our clients' leaps from this paralysis and fear into being able to grow and expand and thrive no matter the situation, right? It does come down to not only understanding the way somebody operates, what makes them tick, what way do they need to be communicated with in order to understand and receive what we're saying. It's not enough to just give them the skills and the tools like we were breaking down into strategy, step number 1, step number 2, step number 3, right? The bigger picture here is to support them adequately so that they can understand themselves and they can find the inner resourcefulness, and they can be aware of whatever is coming up. They can capture it, they can unpack it, and they can then deal with it. Is it something that they can simply say, you know what, this is just my mind distracting me, it's not really that scary, I'm just gonna plow through it, or it's something that needs more attention, right? Where is this story coming from? Why is it coming up right now? Is it true or not? What's beneath it? What's underneath? Let's dig deeper, right? And that, like I said at the very beginning of the video, that is something that requires real personal attention and cannot be decided on a blanket statement right now. I can tell you just from this video, this is what you need to do. What I'm saying is these are the possibilities, and this is something that the tools that are available to my clients when we work together, and the tools that become available to them and their own teams, so they can thrive and they can move on and they can grow and expand and really, in this current reality, innovate and start building businesses of the future instead of being paralyzed by what is going on right now and just waiting for the storm to pass. So personal development, inner strength, inner guidance, literally self-mastery is this underlining thing, as I mentioned before, that is an ever evolving. It doesn't stop. There's no such thing as saying, yep, I've arrived, I'm done, because we're never done. But again, it is something that is even more important than just the particular skill set or the tools or strategies. So those were the three parallels, the most major ones that I wanted to share with you. 3 steps in the process that, just like I was taking my daughter through, who is 7, similar strategies that I'm applying in handling, not handling is not really an appropriate term here, but empowering my 5-year-old, who has a completely different temperament than my 7-year-old, who reacts to stress entirely differently than my 7-year-old, who needs a very different approach and guidance. But understanding those 3 steps of, okay, what is the issue? Why is it the issue? What's their perception? Do we see the bigger picture? Do we chunk it down, right? And then what is the solution? And then also developing their own skills to be able to do the whole process by themselves eventually. The same applies to either yourself, as you're developing yourself as an intentional, remarkable leader, founder, CEO, whatever your position is, when you are in a position of impacting somebody, influencing somebody, these are the tools that you need to master in order to build the business of the future. And those are the same approaches that you can really pass down and empower your team with. Because a lot of team members right now, not only do they want to be fully devoted to completely and continuously serving you and the purpose of the company and the clients, they also are torn between the responsibilities of what's going on in their home and the unknown and the disrupted routines and all the other experiences that we are all going through, because we're just humans after all, right? And we are acting and reacting and we're having responses, emotional responses to what's going on. So it can be a lot. So for somebody, it might not be enough to just say, you know what, chunk up your schedule and batch your work and be done with it. They need more. And especially for developing businesses of the future, like the survey said here, 93% of the workers here in the States do believe that businesses of the future will heavily invest and provide that support, emotional and mental support for the workers. And it goes for private and public sectors, in my opinion. And it doesn't end with just saying like, I have somebody who was given an opportunity to go to counseling through the office, but it was the what's it called, in system something, it doesn't matter, those are details. But it's not just the counseling here, it's also the coaching, it's also development and really bringing in support and professionals from many different areas to create this holistic approach, right? Because first and foremost, we are all different, our personalities are different, our strengths are different, our human design is different, our visions are different, our purpose is different, our whys are different. So in order to realign everybody to this big vision and mission of the particular company, while respecting different perspectives and different personalities, it becomes like this beautiful piece of a puzzle that we're putting together and developing, it almost becomes this blank canvas that we get to recreate and repaint again. And this is a beautiful opportunity for every leader, intentional leader right now, devoted to building a business of the future, not just the one that survives and finds stability right now, but the one that is built to last. This is going to be one of the crucial pieces and opportunities and resources made available to the team, so they can feel empowered, they can tap into their genius, they can participate in and contribute their expertise and feel ownership for their contributions, and really not just be the happy employee, but the one that really is committed. Because at the end of the day, I do believe that we're evolving in a space where we first and foremost see each other as human, as people, and that we will start to understand, especially here in the Western Hemisphere, that there's so much more than work, that we are not our work, that we are not our results, that we are not our businesses, but that life is so much more complex, and that the work we get to do, people we get to work with, people we get to serve, results we get to co-create are just one small aspect that co-creates this whole wholeness. And this holistic approach to enable us to get there is going to be the key. And intentional leaders, visionaries, conscious leaders already are tapped into that, already understand that. And this is a beautiful opportunity for everybody else who might be on the fence to really leap into this approach. So I hope this video provides you with ideas, with insights, with strategic steps, with an elevated perspective, and it gives you guidance to do things differently, perhaps, or perhaps reassurance that you are on the right way. Or if you need to, reach out and we'll figure out what your way gets to look like, how it gets to feel like, and how your future of your unique design gets to be created. And we can do this together for you, for your business, for your team, for your clients, for your family, and for the impact and the legacy play that you get to step into. Thank you for being here. If you know of anybody who could benefit from this video, please share it with them or send them this way. I will talk to you later. Take care.